Hey everybody, come on in. It's Conspiracy Theories and Chill. Hey Jack, hey Steve. Good to see you here. Good to see some people coming in. This is a conspiracy theory show where we talk about conspiracy theories, most of which happen to be true, by the way. And we kick it around though. We have fun. Sometimes we talk about crazy stuff. We could talk about absolutely anything. But this is Conspiracy Theories and Chills, so come on in and hang out with us. We're going to talk about the coronavirus a little bit. I want to kick that around a little bit. Just might as well. It's right out there in the open. Be foolish to ignore it. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of other things. So come on in. Because if you think the world is crazy, you are not wrong. It is. And we pull back the curtain in here. We discuss the problems in society and how things have gone so south in our reality. And the reason for that is we're lorded over by evil. Evil lords over humanity. We understand that in here. We talk about that in here. We discuss that in here. And we're getting played. We are constantly being played and manipulated by the powers that be and the media. And right now we're being manipulated over a virus. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, the coronavirus. They are trying to convince you that this is going to wipe out humanity. This is going to be the pandemic that brings up our end. But what they're really doing is stifling dissent across the globe with the common cold. They're scaring people to death over a virus with a 97% cure rate. They're canceling political events. They're shutting down schools over the coronavirus. And that's not even its name. Its name is COVID-19. A coronavirus is basically a common cold virus. It's a family of viruses. That's what it is. I don't know why they continue to call it that, and I guess because it's scarier, but it's just a type of virus. That's what a coronavirus is. It's a type of virus. And most cold viruses are coronaviruses. It's just a virus named after its shape. This particular version, I believe, is a weaponized version of the coronavirus, but it's just a weaponized cold. It's very contagious, but so is any cold. And it can be deadly, but it's deadly to the elderly and people with weak immune systems and weak respiratory systems. And any common illness would be deadly to those same group of people. Ethan says, I'm at the arcade with both girlfriends. Both girlfriends? My friend, you're going to have to explain that statement. There's a lot to unpack in that one. How are you managing that? Said you can't hear at all? Is there no sound? Jack and Steve, let me know. Is there no sound? It's probably because you're at the arcade, Ethan. It's probably not a good place to watch a live stream. I mean, even with my best audio, I'm not loud enough to compete with the loud arcade. But I think they're trying to scare us to death with this coronavirus, and I'm worried what they'll do with it. Dale says he hears good, so all right. I'm worried what they'll do with it. I'm worried how far they'll take this fear campaign. Is it going to lead to shutting down cities? Is it going to lead to martial law? How much are we going to allow here? You know, we have one of these virus scares pretty much like clockwork every 2 years. Why are they throwing on the fear so heavy this time? Why are they laying on the propaganda so heavy and so thick? I just got a warning from Facebook that they're having trouble playing this video. Hey, Kathy, I'm still seeing comments, but I got a warning. It says, sorry, we're having trouble playing this video. Are we still on? We're still on YouTube. So if you're having problems, I'm going to share the link to Facebook, to the YouTube feed, but I'm still seeing comments. So we must still be on Facebook, but it's a black screen for me. So if you want, you can come over to YouTube if there is a problem on Facebook. I shared the link. Hey, Robert, we will fight forever. We will fight and fight to spread the truth. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. That you're being scared and it's fear propaganda. This is a severe version, but a version of a cold. All of the symptoms are cold symptoms. And a coronavirus is a cold virus. And when compared to the flu, you can see, Kathy says she sees me. Looks good on Facebook. Facebook's fine, Steve says. I don't know why it's messing with me then. There is throttling that goes on, so maybe they're trying to discourage me from carrying on because this is not a popular topic. Matter of fact, I made a short video for my YouTube channel just as an experiment comparing the coronavirus with the common flu. Just statistical comparison. Got all my numbers from the CDC website. Just put it up. Immediately throttled. Immediately shut down. It still hasn't even broke 100 views. And it's getting killed in the like-dislike category. It is the most disliked video I've ever had on my YouTube channel already. And that includes my Titanic swap video, which is... Yeah, Steve, Facebook's being hokey. But that includes my Titanic video, which triggers a lot of people. This is, and it hasn't gotten as many dislikes as that video, but on a faster rate. It's heading towards that direction. But yeah, I can't see how many people are here on Facebook at all. I can see your comments still, so hopefully that continues. But Steve says Facebook says only 2 here, and I see at least 6 talking. Yeah, there's heavy shenanigans, especially on this show. I probably shouldn't have named it Conspiracy Theories and Chill. I probably should change the name to like Pet and Kittens because they don't want you to talk about any of this stuff. And what I'm talking about now is extremely unpopular because they want you to be terrified of the coronavirus. And like Steve says, maybe shut down the convention and even the election entirely. I'm worried. I don't think he's overreacting there. I don't think he's overreacting at all because that's something they could do. You know, they've already hired 4,000 police for the convention in Milwaukee because they're in the process of rigging the Democratic primary right now. And I could see them switching over and switching gears and going with this pandemic to shut down the city. And like Steve says, maybe even shut down the primary entirely. We can't put the country through a primary process right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. The cold is killing everyone. But when you look at it statistically, the flu is much more dangerous. So why? Why all this fear propaganda? Because Helen's right. It's the media doing it. And you know who controls the media. We all do. We talk about it in here. The powers that be. You watch and I bet you see there are lockdowns, quarantines, and martial law rolling up in the blue parts of the map. I'm terrified of what they're going to do here. They're trying to stop an uprising. That's what they're doing, is they're trying to stop an uprising. All over the world. You know, the streets were full of people in China. There was a massive uprising happening in China before the coronavirus rolled out. Now the streets are empty. They got everyone to go back home. They scared them. Fear does that. And this is fear propaganda. That's what they're doing here. That's what they're trying to do, is spread immense amounts of fear and get everybody terrified. But I'm telling you, there's nothing to be afraid of. Steven says false. COVID-19 is killing at a rate of 1 to a 30, while last year's flu season killed 1 in 700. That's inaccurate. The coronavirus worldwide has killed 2,700 people so far. The CDC estimates that the flu will kill 52,000 people this year. So that is 1,000 people a week on average. And on that average, 12,000 people on average would have died from the flu at this point, and 2,700 have died from COVID-19, as Steven said. And it has a cure rate of 97%. That's from the CDC's own page. I didn't get that from anywhere but the CDC. And I got my flu stats from the CDC. So all you got to do is compare it to the flu, and you can see that it is much less deadly. Matter of fact, in the year 2017, the flu killed 61,000 people, Stephen. Also from the CDC's own page. Yeah, Cassandra, Stephen is mistaken. But Stephen's buying into massive fear propaganda. There is massive fear campaign going on with this virus. Kathy says the streets were full of people in South Dakota. Water is life, and nobody cared. The media definitely didn't. They didn't point any cameras at it. The only exposure came from the independent media, and that's the only place you get any truth at all. Stephen says, it's a fact. I've been following COVID-19 closely. If the CDC disagrees, we can simply verify this. The numbers are available. And I'm open to that. I'm open to being wrong, but I feel like they're a pretty reliable source for this. Are we disputing? I felt like that was the most mainstream place I could go to get my information. So I didn't know that. I find that interesting that when you're in these kind of conversations, even when you quote something that is recognized as a scientifically accepted source, they'll still go, well, maybe the CDC is wrong on this one. We're going to have to go and check some other place. I think it's a pretty reliable place to get the numbers from. I mean, and if they're lying, why wouldn't they lie in the other direction? Why wouldn't they make it scarier? You know? Steve says it's either much worse than we think or it's complete bullshit. And I really don't know. We really can't know. You know? We really can't know. Maybe it's a bioweapon. You know the city, Wuhan, in China where the outbreak happened? There's a bioweapons factory that has the umbrella logo from the video game Resident Evil. The evil corporation, the evil bioweapons company in the game, their logo is an umbrella, and it is the exact same umbrella. It's like they're messing with you. Nissa says, I used to live across the street from the CDC in Atlanta. It's on the Emory University campus. My ex got his PhD there. Cassandra says, hand washing. Hand washing lives 2 to 9 hours on surfaces. Don't set the phone down in public. Just smart all around rolled since you put it in your face. Stephen is in close contact with a team of doctors daily since he just had a kidney transplant, and I do agree it's a bioweapon, and yes, I covered that lab in Wuhan too. All right, then you know what I'm talking about. Doesn't that scream of predictive programming? That is very odd. It's hard to look past. But I just looked, when I finally looked into this, and I didn't want to look into it because it seemed like propaganda to me from the very beginning, but when I finally looked into it, I found disappointing numbers as far as the stats go when compared to other illnesses. And there are a lot of doctors that are making that case, that this is as severe as pneumonia or the flu, and it's being blown right out of proportion. I'm not saying not to worry about it. I'm not saying not to take precautions against it. I'm saying that why so much fear in the media? shutting down cities. Italy's prime minister is shutting down sections of Italy. They're talking about, when Nissa was talking about in Washington, they're shutting down schools. What do people expect? What can people do? Stop going to work? Stop going out in public? I mean, how far can we actually go? How far should the panic go? And how much power do you want them to have over you? It's only makes sense to be so afraid, and I don't think that the fear is warranted here. Cassandra says, I have family in the medical care field, and I think I'm pretty informed. Told since I have severe autoimmune disease, avoid crowds. No, the doctors, they are in dispute over this, but there's the ones that go on mainstream media, and they're pushing the fear. Then there's a lot of doctors that are trying to expose the fact that there's no reason to be so panicked. And John says to get everybody to take the vaccine. How long will it be before they're rolling out a vaccine? Alex said the government is run by lizard people. Thank you, Alex, for bringing us back to the core of what this show is about. The damn lizard people. Coronavirus isn't real, he says. It's like the bird flu. We don't need to worry about it. We need to worry about the turtle flu. And no one's talking about the damn turtle flu. No, it's something every 2 years. We were talking about that a minute ago, Alex. It's something every 2 years. There is a new outbreak that we need to be scared to death about every 2 years. There was MERS, SARS, Ebola twice, the bird flu, the avian flu. Helen says, my daughter's a dialysis nurse. She says, just wash your hands like you should have been doing all along. And Cassandra says, no children. I'm taking from the caps that means none at all have contacted this. Children are immune. Yeah, I guess that's what she means. I know that the statistics show that it mostly is fatal to the elderly. People under 50, like I said, have a 97% cure rate. It's a little bit over 97%. It only has a 2.3% mortality rate. And Robert says, I bet Bernie's a lizard. Now, I have a theory that I've been thinking about, and because I've been trying to figure, and I always try to look at things from both angles and figure out if there's any way we're being played here. And he would have to be. It would take a lizard to pull that kind of con, to pull some kind of 40-year con on the American people. It would take a lizard. It would take a full-on demon reptile. Alex says, every time we get a new president, we get a new virus. And he says, how do we know if they're lizard people? Well, we wouldn't. As far as I understand, the reptilians can shapeshift and manipulate reality so that they look just same as any other human being. Helen says, 30 days. Did somebody get locked up in Facebook jail? Trump has suspended all travel between the U.S. and Europe. What? Steve says, and Helen says for 30 days. Cassandra says no reason to panic is true. They are hoping it dies out in the warmer weather like most viruses. Their coring goodness knows what germs out of Antarctica. Oh my, yes. What are they letting loose out of the ice in Antarctica? We don't worry about that. Suspended travel between the U.S. and Europe. They are freaking out over this. And I don't think that it's unrealistic that they could go to extremes with this because they're trying to stifle uprisings, keep people. There's uprisings happening all over the world right now. People rising up in multiple countries. That's all being shut down over this fear. And I just don't think there's any reason to be afraid. Yeah, Cassandra, Bernie doesn't look much like a lizard. But how do we know? And what Alex says, what if Hillary is lizard? Now, she would make a very good one. She makes a good case for the reptilians. And someone that I would love, love, love to interview for the show is David Icke. And he's very into the reptilians. And when he talks about them, I don't feel like he's bullshitting. So I feel like he either really believes in it or he's really good at selling a false story. Ginger says she believes it's the Five Eyes trying to control dissent. They are trying to stifle dissent with this virus. That's the only thing that explains the fear propaganda and the way they've ramped it up to extremes. That's it. Nothing else makes any sense. You know, not to me anyway. And Alex, we need to do an episode on reptilians because let's sidetrack because Alex is very interested in the reptilian theory, and we do allow any conspiracy in Conspiracy Theories and Chills. So I'm going to kick it around just for a second. I believe in it a little bit. I'm going to be honest, but I believe that they would be demons. See, sometimes it gets crazy in here. But I believe they would be demons that walk among us. And I don't know that it would be Hillary Clinton. I do think Hillary Clinton is evil, one of the most evil people walking the planet. And again, she'd make a great candidate. But I don't know. That's how I feel about reptilians. But do I know if there's any in the government? I have no idea. And Alex says I'd pay to watch an entire episode on lizard people. It will happen. We will cover, usually that's what we do on this show, is we pick a topic and then do a video on it. But I just got a new computer, and I had to learn a completely new video editing software, and I'm having trouble with it. I'm not super smart at computers. Nissa thinks Hillary's a shapeshifter. So there's one vote in the Hillary category. Like I said, I definitely think she has the personality. Ginger says, my hospital says wash your hands. See, I'm telling you, this massive amount of fear is not warranted. Helen says, none of the pedos that Weinstein might roll on will be able to flee the country either. By the way, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there now. Weinstein did not kill himself because his days are numbered. Because he's got to be wanting to flip. He's going to have to be wanting. What's that rapper who was telling on everybody? He's got to be in that mindset right now, ready to rat on anybody to get a little bit of time knocked off. 23 years. I can't believe they gave Weinstein 23 years. That surprised me. Nissa says the Bush family are lizards. I've seen a compelling David Icke speech about that. She says the Windsors are pedo-reptilians. So you're going to have to send me some information because we're going to have to do a reptilian episode. Cassandra says learning a new system's not fun. It's getting crazy. People aren't eating at Chinese restaurants. Costco shelves empty for water and toilet paper, Steve says. And Lysol, wiping out Lysol because it lists coronavirus on the can that it fights coronavirus. Because the coronavirus is a cold. It's a type of virus. It's what that word means. The actual virus is like what Stephen was saying earlier. COVID-19 is the name of it. I don't know why they keep calling it the coronavirus. You know that's making Corona beer's stock tank. People believe that it has to do with the beer as well. Steve says another news flash. Tom Hanks and wife say they are infected with the coronavirus. Nuh-uh. Is that real? Ginger, Jim Morrison was the Lizard King. And he was very open about that. Talked about it a lot. So, there could definitely be something there. Cassandra says pet stores are out of rats. Couldn't get my snake any food. I'm no rats. Why would they be out of rats? No, no, no. It was always on the label. It was always on the label because a coronavirus is a type of virus. I don't know why they call it that. I, I'm, I guess because they've decided in some focus group that it's scarier because they're trying to sell it for fear. They want people to be afraid. They want people to be terrified. Yeah, Ginger, he did claim he could do anything. He was very open about it and braggadocious, even. You could say he rubbed it in your face that he was the Lizard King. So, did the Bush family answer to Jim Morrison? That is the question that we must answer, among others, in the reptilian episode. Chris says, yes, it is. I hope you're talking about the coronavirus because that's what it is, type of virus. Sometimes it's hard to know what you guys are referring to. Alex says the lizard people are eating the rats. That's where your rats are going. Steve says we have a town called Corona in LA. I don't know if people still go there. Wouldn't surprise me if they don't. Wouldn't surprise me if tourism has dried up to Corona in any town named Corona. So people really believe they can't go eat at a Chinese restaurant. Why would a Chinese person that lives in America and runs a restaurant have coronavirus from Wuhan? Do you think they get it through the telephone? What is this fear? This is all being inserted by the mainstream media. That's what this fear is. And it's over nothing. Steve says maybe maybe the people in China ate all the rats. What is the meat in my sweet and sour pork? Because it doesn't look like pork and doesn't feel like pork. What is it? Yeah, COVID-19 is the name of the virus. And its real name is something weird. It's like NCOV-19, something weird. Bunch of numbers and letters mixed together. But, hey, David. Good to see you guys. We've been talking about the super virus and the fear propaganda being laid on about it. And how I believe, based on the evidence that I've done, again, I'm not a doctor, but I'm listening to doctors when I say this, that this fear is unwarranted. And I'm worried what they plan to use it for. And I don't understand. It's bugging me what's going on Facebook. It's just a black screen to me, guys. Says it's not even, we're not even on, but people are still talking. So Cassandra says, run on stores when coronavirus announced first confirmed case in Tulsa caused a run at the pet food stores. My store's manager said she had to call in employees. People, I guess, like you're afraid to leave the house, so I guess you got to buy up supplies for your snake. And any other animals that eat rats. Or they eat mice, though, don't they? Why would they be out of rats, though? What eats rats? You got a python? Fear has my baby without his rat. Let's see. I think she tells me. He eats frozen rats, large but no sizes in stock. Man. That's weird, selling out of rats. Now, the toilet paper and even the Lysol makes sense to me, but the rats, that's a little crazy.